So comes from a student from Physics 2211. It's a class where it's about 200 students. And it says, there's a big difference between wanting to do well in class just to get grades and wanting to do well in class because you enjoy the material and the professor. The first one feels like work, while the second one feels like challenging fun. This is related to, I guess, stimulate interest in class. And as I read this nice quote, I really enjoy teaching Physics 1 because it's one of the courses where you can actually show how the world works and how you can describe with math and physics how to describe the world and how to use it to understand better. So I tried to bring a lot of exercises and demonstrations in the class and then explain the demonstration as if it was why it happens, and some of the students actually mentioned it kind of like if it's a trick and you're doing magic. You have a thing, you show it, and then we try to understand how it happened. And then the nice thing is then we use mathematics and physics to explain why did it happen and understand better. So in general, many of these applications are everyday life occurrences that we can talk about it, and then they can actually see how physics is actually necessary to understand some of the things that happen in daily life, and how they can apply that knowledge to extend and to understand other things that are similar.
I'm Charles Isbell. I'm a professor and the Executive Associate Dean in the College of Computing, and I teach AI and machine learning. When I took up the course, it was just another subject that I took up out of curiosity, but your enthusiasm and interactions in that semester helped me fall in love with machine learning algorithms, so much so that I made that my specialization. So I love hearing things like this because it means that I might be doing something at least a little bit right. The way I think about teaching, particularly when you're teaching a subject that a lot of people don't know a lot about, and you're teaching it to a lot of people, I see typically 300, 350 students at a time. The goal is, while you're teaching them something, you have to keep them engaged. And the way I try to keep them engaged is I ask myself, well, what is it that I would need to know? I mean, I've been doing this for decades now, but there was a time when I didn't know any of these things. I wanted to understand why they were important. I wanted to understand why they were important to other things that I might want to do. And so I try to incorporate in the lecture that basic idea. What is it that would excite me? And what is it that has excited me over the years? And make certain that I convey that.
Hello, my name is Larry Jacobs. I'm currently the interim dean in the College of Engineering. I'm also a professor in the School of Civil and Environmental Engineering with a joint appointment in the Woodruff School of Mechanical Engineering. My quote from a student in my COE 3001, Mechanics of Deformable Bodies, was, quote, "Your enthusiasm and passion for engineering is contagious. We all truly appreciate how much effort you put into helping us learn and succeed, not only in your class, but in our careers at Tech," end quote. It's a nice quote. Mm-hmm. So actually, it really means a lot. It really touches me. It's a privilege and an honor to teach at a place like Georgia Tech. We have wonderful students, and to get them at this point in their careers when they really are learning, they're just excited and eager to learn. And I think it's important for me as the instructor to convey that same enthusiasm, that I'm here to help them on their journey to learn about things that I really care about. Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Curtis, and I'm an associate professor in the School of Physics, and I'm going to read you a note that I received from a student in one of my introductory physics courses. It's a Think a Teacher note, and she wrote, I love your genuine concern for your students. I think a lot of teachers can forget about the opinions of their students or just don't care, but you genuinely care about our input and actively seek it. So it may be surprising, but I think it's really important to show concern and respect to the students that we teach. And unlike maybe some people who might hear that and think that I'm just coddling the students, I do it for very specific reasons. I think that if I show respect and interest in my students, I open them up to learn and create a space that's safe for them to attack some of the difficult material that's in my course. And my interest in them and my faith in their abilities, which is reflected by my efforts to get to know them or to listen to them, is reflected in their motivation to pursue one of the difficult courses that they take when they first get to Georgia Tech.
Hi, my name is Bill Barron. I'm faculty from chemistry and biochemistry, and I teach primarily organic chemistry, and specifically chemistry 2311. I have a quote from a student which says, "You have gone above and beyond, staying after each class, recording your lectures, and always being quick to answer questions by email or Piazza. You have made it possible for me to learn the material and succeed in this course. Thank you." So the student reminds me that I've always felt being as helpful as possible students is the key, whether that's helpful in class, out of class, or any technological tools that we might use to help students. I can see from end of course surveys that the students really appreciate all the help. I think the one single tool they appreciate the most is video recordings. I video record every lecture. I even have some preview videos that they watch, and they can watch those videos as many times as they want, especially when they're studying for exams.
So when I think about success, and I think particularly in terms of teaching and sort of having everyone involved in the environment, maybe this is too simple, but I do think it's relatively simple. You bring people together and make them a part of the same discovery process. They're not your colleagues because they're students, but in some sense they're your colleagues to be. They want to be involved in this discussion, particularly millennials and the kids now want to be sort of a part of this ongoing discussion. I think it comes down to a simple word, which is respect, and that respect goes both ways. Faculty must respect the students, and the students must respect the faculty. And respect is mostly represented through communication. Faculty have to tell the students what they're thinking, they have to invite them to be a part of a conversation, and the students have to say, I need to be able to talk to the faculty about some concern I have, whether it's a misunderstanding or I believe that something is unfair, and then they have to take the answer that they get for what it is, which is giving credit to the professor, giving credit to the student that they're both coming at this with goodwill. So when new faculty come to me and they ask me, what is it like to teach Georgia Tech students? What's different from other students I might have interacted with? I think it's pretty simple. I tell them that Georgia Tech students are trying really hard to understand what's going on. They really want to be engaged with the material. They're very smart, but they're looking to you to help make them smarter, to help make them better. I was an alum of Georgia Tech. I am an alum of Georgia Tech. I did my undergraduate here. And the thing that I think really captures what Georgia Tech is that it's the sort of place that teaches you how much you can accomplish when you're pushed really hard. You can bend without breaking. And they expect that, particularly in upper division classes, but they expect that from their professors. So you don't have to coddle them. You don't have to worry about, look, I got to make certain they can walk through this step and this step. You just have to bring them along and make them a colleague, make them a part of the conversation. So when people ask me how to talk to students, how to teach students, difficult material, remember, they're looking to learn difficult material, and they'll stay with you. And you just have to make certain that they feel comfortable letting you know when they're actually lost. They will go with you as far as you're willing to take them, and they will go as far as you want to go.
Absolutely. I think I think the culture has changed dramatically and in the positive. Again, a lot of it has to do with the quality of our students. I meet alums all the time, and I say, I don't think you could get into this place if you were applying now. And I think a lot of my colleagues have responded and realized how bright our students are, and they have changed the way they teach. There's a lot less. There was a lot of rote memorization and a lot of less about student learning and more about rote feedback. We don't. I hope we're not doing that, and I think we're really trying to take advantage. I look at what some of my colleagues are doing in problem-based learning, or where they're flipping a classroom, where they're really taking advantage of the fact that the students are very bright. Honestly. I look at a lot of transfer credit. I review transfer credit, and I get to see what our peers do on the outside, and how that compares to what we do. And we still cover a lot of material. This is a place where we do the starred problems, and the students expect that. But I think at the same time we have a much more increased emphasis on student learning and really on that student comprehension.
So one of my roles as the Executive Associate Dean is to talk to faculty about RPT, about reappointment, promotion, and tenure, to talk about what it means to be promoted. And even when I was a young assistant professor, it was my question too. What did it really take to get through the promotion process? Does teaching really matter? Or do you just have to not be totally terrible at it? And there is some truth to that, and that some of the faculty really are going to evaluate you first on your research. But what I've learned over the years, having gone through the process myself and having evaluated faculty going through both tenure and promotion, is that the teaching really does matter. The Institute cares about it, your colleagues care about it, and it's very much a part of evaluation. If you ask the question about balance and how are you going to make all of these things work, I think the answer is you realize that they're all the same thing. Whether you're advising graduate students, whether you're teaching to 200 undergraduates or 20 undergraduates, or whether you're trying to get the next research proposal out the door, it's really all the same thing. It's really all about education. It's in your particular area, and you should see it as being a whole thing. Advising is teaching, teaching is advising, and you bring them along in the conversation about your research. The reason a student comes to a place like Georgia Tech, a top-tier research university full of faculty who are focused on research, is because they want to be exposed to that research environment. They want to hear about things that are cutting edge. They want to understand how what they're doing is going to allow them to change the world. And that's the same thing that brought all of us together as faculty.
I think, look, we are a Research One university. We expect all our faculty to do research. But I look at teaching and research as complementary. They're two sides of the same coin. I think, I always try, for instance, to bring my research experience into the classroom. And that really resonates with the students. They really like to hear about what are the things that we're working on. That becomes important. Skills that I learn in the classroom dealing with students helped me a lot, or helped me very early on with my own graduate students. PhD students are very different, and PhD students are key to the success of any successful research faculty. And knowing what makes that PhD student tick and how to work with them and how to, the same skill sets, motivating undergraduates really comes over to motivating PhD students. And then, also we are at the, engineering is at the cutting edge, and so you should be able to incorporate your research into the classroom. But as with anything, you have to, to be a good teacher, you have to make sure you put the time into it. You're going to be time constrained, but this is one of the most critical things, and you must spend the time, and I think it will pay off in the long run in a personal reward, but also into your success.